There was at least 15. There was 2 or 3 sheriff's deputies, or maybe 4. And then there was the, I don't know, half the DNR, I guess, was out here that day.
This is the story of a no-kill animal shelter that was raided by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources in a SWAT-like fashion in order to confiscate and kill a 22-pound baby deer. Shark has obtained documents that show, in addition to the wasted resources involved in this dangerous raid, there was an overreaching and possibly illegal search warrant, the failure of the DNR to follow their own procedures during the raid, and then later attempts by the DNR to cover up their activities.
It clearly was, they were sending a message. I mean, they were really going to show everybody, including us, that you're not going to do what we don't want you to do, which we don't want baby deers to live at all, period.
Armed agents raid an animal shelter for a baby deer.
Tonight, Colleen Henry investigates an operation raising questions about the use of government resources and the state policy that meant a death sentence for the fawn.
It was like a SWAT team. 9 DNR agents and 4 deputy sheriffs, and they were all armed to the teeth.
The focus of their search, a baby fawn, brought here by an Illinois family worried she'd been abandoned by her mother.
When it made a little noise, it sounded like it was laughing.
Schulze deals mostly with dogs and cats. He videotaped the fawn they named Giggles during the 2 weeks she was here. The DNR began investigating after 2 anonymous calls reporting a baby deer at the no-kill shelter.
And then if you see the pictures of her standing in the back of that stall, I mean, she looked terrified. She just looked terrified. And here they come in with their zip ties and their duct tape and all this other crap. You know, it's very hard to get over this. This is very hard to get over, that somebody came onto this no-kill property where we really care for these animals and took a deer and did what they did to that little deer. They had to be pretty sick people to do it.
I was thinking in my mind, well, yeah, they're going to take the deer and take it to a wildlife shelter. And then here they come carrying the baby deer over their shoulder like a bag of, she was in a body bag. I said, why did you do that? He said, well, it's our policy. And I said, well, that's one hell of a policy.
They use a bolt gun on her. So they first gave her anesthetic that wears off very quickly. They gave her some anesthetic in the barn. They don't tell you what they did or how they tied her or any of the other stuff. Then they throw her in the back of a truck and they drive her about a half hour away from here. By that time, that anesthetic's done, okay? Now they get her over to their state park, and an hour, I think it was an hour and a half later, they finally kill that deer with a bolt in her head. I mean, this was clearly excessive. The fact that they flew over and did reconnaissance. We paid them that day to go out in the morning at 8 o'clock to buy Pringles and soda, and we had to pay them for their Pringles. Can you believe this? We paid them we paid the person to go get the Pringles, then we paid them to eat the Pringles, and then we paid for the Pringles. The DNR agent in this area proceeds to go and sit here for hours in those bushes over there in camouflage, noting that he's watching Giggles walk in and out of the barn with our caretaker. Okay, that ends it right there, right? That ends it. He puts it in an affidavit. They take the affidavit to the judge. At that point, the judge says, you've got a warrant for the barn. That's all you've got. Instead, the judge gives them, and the district attorney gives them, after the district attorney confers with Kathy Stepp, the secretary of the DNR. I mean, this was all the way to the top. Then he gives them a sweeping warrant to go through everything, drawers, cabinets, anything they wanted to do out there they could do to find a 22-pound baby deer. You know, frankly, I think it's unconstitutional. Once they knew where that deer was, they had no business going through one other building on this property. And what's interesting is they didn't come right to the barn. They went and just terrorized everybody. And then they finally came to the barn where they knew that little deer was.
According to the DNR's own plan, they were to ascertain the deer's origin. This was never done. If the DNR had done so, they would have learned that the deer came from a non-chronic wasting zone and that she was returning to the non-chronic wasting zone the very next day.
She was going to go to a rescue down in Illinois, a wildlife rescue. We had already talked to them. She would have been already gone, except the rescue that we wanted to take her to had a flood and was not answering the phones for a while. But we found another one in the same area, you know, where we think she came from, which was in Lake County, and they said they would take her. So it was just a matter of transporting her the next day. And I had it all lined up. We were going to go with her the next day, and here they came.
So why did the DNR have to kill the fawn and not simply relocate her as per their original plan? Chronic wasting disease.
We sit right here right now, where I'm sitting right now. This is chronic wasting. About 40 feet away from here, it isn't chronic wasting anymore, okay? So if we would have the shelter moved about 40 feet, we would not be in a chronic wasting zone. Here, there's only been one deer since 2003 that has been found with chronic wasting disease. One deer. They did another study here, I believe it was 2012. They took 200 deer out of here and they tested them all. Not one turned up with chronic wasting. At that point, come on. You know, we know there's not chronic wasting here. In Lake County, Illinois, where the deer came from, no chronic wasting. I mean, so, you know, give me a break. Unbelievable. It's like, I can't even explain it. It's so ridiculous. They blacked out entire pages. I mean, I've got them here. They blacked out entire pages. I can't even, I look at them, how do you can't make heads or tails out of this stuff. And they did it so, they go out and they do their dirt. You know, they do this kind of dirt and they disrupt a business. They disrupted this business for an entire afternoon. They upset people that were working here. They upsetted volunteers. They took that baby deer out of here, not in a nice way, you know, and put a bolt in her head. Everybody's got to live with that now. And then they had the gall to redact their names, to hide their names. That really pisses me off. I mean, if you're going to do this stuff, be a man. Man up to it. These are our names, this is what we did. If you know it was that bad, then you shouldn't have done it to begin with. I mean, it's just obvious that, well, I wouldn't want my name on it either, but then I wouldn't have done it in the first place, you know? Acting like total fools, completely holding the whole shelter out for hours, taking a little deer away to be killed. Now they're going to all stand on the street and basically high-five it, you know. Oh, congratulations, great job, you know, they're all standing in front of the shelter. Now, our workers and volunteers are watching this thinking, what kind of sickos are these? And then now when we get the records and you see these emails going back and forth with their little smiley faces, I'm looking forward to it like they're going on a picnic.
Publicly, the DNR claimed to be upset over killing Giggles. However, internal DNR emails obtained by Shark reveal a different, almost gleeful attitude.
There was nothing wrong with her. I mean, it's just hard. And a place to go. I mean, she could have lived on that preserve down there. I talked to those people. They said she could have stayed there the rest of her life. It's just unbelievable that they would do something like that. The bottom line is it's a lot of people doing the wrong thing together and not having the guts to say, I'm not getting involved in this. That's the bottom line. And a little deer lost her life and she didn't have to.